More pirate slop.
All right, so I'm sure many of you have heard of Jason Thor Hall, better known online as Pirate Software, due to all the surrounding drama related to Stop Killing Games. This video isn't about the Stop Killing Games drama. I do support the Stop Killing Games initiative, and anyone in the EU currently watching this should go and sign if they care about game preservation. This video is going to be a review of Jason's job history, game dev industry claims, coding ability, and his heartbound and champion of breakfast DRM solutions by me, a developer. I won't be touching on his hacking skills much in this video, since from what I found, all of his DEF CON wins were team efforts, and all of the stories related to hacking are just that, stories. Outside of his word, I generally can't find anything related to it. There isn't anything concrete or of substance in these stories for me to actually analyze and review. If anyone knows where he actually has hacking write-ups or knows the VODs where he actually does something related to hacking, let me know and I can do a separate video going through and reviewing it. Okay, with that out of the way, let's start with Jason's LinkedIn job history. So if we look at his LinkedIn, we can see his first recorded job experience is from 2002 to 2009, where he was a freelance security researcher and developer. In 2002, Jason would have...
Did we watch this? No, we watched this part 2 on the going over the code stuff. Well, I haven't actually seen anything about his background yet, though.
been 15, and from what I found, he hasn't taken any program classes, so anything he knows at this point is largely self-taught. Another important thing is Jason actually had a job in 2004 that isn't listed here as a quality assurance intern at Blizzard.
I went to Blizzard in 2004, and this is kind of my whole career, right? My first job I got through nepotism, 100%. My dad worked at Blizzard for 23 years. We worked at Blizzard.
Destiny still refused to go hard and uncharitable towards Pixie. What do you mean? I think she's suing me because she wants to get as much money as she can before she leaves the industry. That's my... I don't know how much harder you are. That's my thoughts on it.
And this is kind of my whole career, right? My first job I got through nepotism, 100%. My dad worked at Blizzard for 23 years. We worked at Blizzard for 23 years, so I got a job there in 2004. I was shit. I was shit at this, and I realized I was shit.
Also, I think it's important that we talk about his dad for a second. Jason says his dad just worked at Blizzard, but that's grossly understated his dad's role and history at Blizzard. Jason's dad is Joey Ray Hall, and from a Reddit AMA his dad held, we can see the following. Joey Ray joined Silicon and Synapses in 1991. Now, you might be asking, what's Silicon and Synapses, and what does this have to do with Blizzard in his post? Well, in 1991, Blizzard didn't exist yet. Silicon and Synapses was the original company name, and 1991 was the year it was founded. Joey Ray joined Blizzard before it was Blizzard, and when he joined, there were less than 10 people in total at the company. He wasn't some random Blizzard employee. He was one of the earliest hires at the company. Over his 23 years, he did all sorts of work, and was the one that founded the cinematic team, led the machinima team, the video and post-production team, and the esports live broadcast team, plus being responsible for all the video content for every BlizzCon between 2005 to 2014. Plus, he led the team that made the famous South Park World of Warcraft episode, and the inspiration for the He Who Has No Life character. Joey Ray was the director of cinematics at Blizzard. He wasn't some low-level employee that worked at the company. He was pretty high up in the chain. Anyways, back to Jason.
The next 5 years, I left Blizzard. I did not reapply, and I went and worked on my own. I did freelance. I did freelance for everything. So I actually went into Second Life, which is a 3D Worlds game if you've never played it before. They have a language in it called Linden Scripting Language, and I made games in there. I learned how to do 3D modeling. I learned how to do texture work. I learned how to do scripting. I learned how to engage with people that were playing my games. I learned how to do network model stuff. I learned how to do server-related stuff. I did this for 5 whole years.
So Jason's Second Life period of time is a huge rabbit hole, and there's 5 or 6 different controversies surrounding his time in Second Life. This video isn't about his controversies and allegations, so I'm going to skip over most of it. The only small parts we care about are related to coding. During his Second Life playing time, he played a character known as Moldavia's Fig Tree and started a company called Dark Sphere Creations. He claims he did game program with the Linden Scripting Language, the programming language of Second Life, and made some small games and some user-generated content for Second Life. While digging into this, I didn't find any proof he coded any games. What Dark Sphere Creations and his company was actually doing at the time was creating not safe for work adult furry avatars and selling them. Basically, his friend Wingless Emote, another...
Can we talk? Are we allowed to say we have programming experience? In that case, actually, I did do a little bit of programming, I guess. When I was in college, I did a little bit of programming in whatever the fuck this game maker was called. He uses its own proprietary scripting language called DM, Dream Maker. And I also did Lua scripting. Am I allowed to say that? So I am a programmer. Are we allowed to say? I feel like this is embarrassing. I feel like I would never say oh yeah, I programmed inside of a proprietary video game engine. I don't know. It feels cringy. I'm an engineer. Yes.
Their Second Life player would do the art and modeling for the furry avatars, and Jason would do some coding on top. What kind of coding he did on top of these avatars isn't exactly clear. Then they would sell the avatars, and eventually the business was making somewhere around $10,000 a month, primarily due to selling these avatars. There's some other controversy where it alludes to Jason trying to do dev work on Linden Labs projects and other game worlds, but I can't find any solid proof, just random posts and accusations. So in summary, there doesn't seem to be any proof he did any kind of game development or hacking during this period of time. Let's get back to Jason.
Then I came back to Blizzard in 2009, and I applied, not having his help in any way. I got the job.
Okay, the timeline here starts matching up with his LinkedIn. After his little detour with Dark Sphere Creations and working for himself, Jason now has an actual full-time job at Blizzard in 2009. This is his first official full-time job at Blizzard, and he is once again a quality assurance analyst. Jason claims he got into the company on his own merits this time, but I find that a bit hard to believe at face value. In 2004, he said he was terrible as a QA role, and that's why he quit. I searched to see if he studied anything IT related in high school or in college or during the time gap, and I found this from his subreddit. Jason did spend some time in college studying to be an entomologist with a specialization in ants. He dropped out of college without ever finishing his studies, and it doesn't seem like he ever took any IT related courses during this time here. During that 5-year gap between 2004 and 2009, the only experience he said in the clip from earlier was his Second Life programming, and well, that wasn't exactly quality assurance or hacking or game development work. Plus, while applying in 2009, on his resume he would probably have had, or Blizzard itself would have had a record he worked there previously as a QA. So that would make applying a second time for a similar position easier. His dad, once again, was a pretty high person in the company, and some people might remember Jason being Joey Ray's son from before. It's not impossible he got in on his own merits, just a bit hard to believe considering he doesn't have experience with any real program languages at this point, and he doesn't have any degrees or certificates. Okay, back to his LinkedIn and his job. So he held the role for 3 years and 2 months, and once again, this was his quality assurance role. One thing Jason often does is he claims all QA are developers. First, as someone that has worked QA myself, this isn't true. I'm not saying QA aren't important, but the majority of QA generally are non-technical, and only a small portion are. And most of the places I worked at, QA generally has no coding ability and are tasked with doing manual regression testing. Basically, they get a series of test cases they need to go through, and each test case has has a written out set of instructions they just follow. If something doesn't match the case steps, then a bug is filed and actual developers are tasked with addressing it. So I personally wouldn't call his 3 years at this position game development experience. And if we look at the bullet points he has on his LinkedIn, besides one line, namely the design and create an automated system, there's nothing here that even remotely implies he was coding or doing any kind of development. I'm making this point since Jason often claims he was a game developer at Blizzard for 7 years, but his first 3.5 years didn't include any developer roles. Also, to address his if QA didn't do their jobs, games wouldn't be released argument, most games have music. If a musician doesn't complete the OST, a game can't be released. Does that mean they're now developers too? Just because you say something confidently in a deep voice doesn't make it true. Moving on to his next role, we have quality assurance hacks. Here he mentions he did some forensic analysis and detected threats. Also, something I'd like to note, all of his game projects listed here were coded using primarily the C++ programming language. This is a low-level programming language. This will be important a bit later in the video. As for the role, again, I wouldn't call this game development experience. This is more related to security work than game development itself. And from the bullet points, it doesn't seem like Jason was doing much coding. His next role for 6 months was test engineer. My opinions are pretty much the same as the previous role he held. Moving on, we have the next role as security engineer for 11 months. This one is interesting. Since the bullet points here notes he managed web application security. For those that don't know what web applications are, it means he was working on websites and not games. There's no mention of programming here or what tools and languages he used. But regardless, this is without a doubt a non-game development role and doesn't have any overlap with game development. Okay, next up, he moves to another security engineer role for 3 months. Again, same opinions as his last job. Now, his last role at Blizzard was a red team member. Red team is a common IT term that just means someone inside the company that attempts to hack into their systems, either digital or physical. So Red Hat's basically trying to make hacks and show how they got access. So these vulnerabilities and issues can be addressed before real hackers can abuse them. Now, while Red Hat is offensive security and hacking, it doesn't always mean you're programming like you see with those green terminals and pics. If we look at the bullet points Jason has listed, we can see he did exploiting physical access controls and social engineering operations. Social engineering is actually one of the most common ways hackers gain access to systems.
Oh, true. I built my first site using HTML and CSS and Notepad. So I program in like 7 different languages. What the fuck? True.
Doesn't have to involve any programming at all. Social engineering attacks are something like the following situation. Let's say Jason in this example is a social engineer and his target is a fellow Blizzard employee with access to the game servers. He could call them or email them from a legitimate Blizzard phone number or email and say he needs their account credentials. Normally, you would never share live in production account credentials, even if someone from your own company. But let's say Jason manages to convince the employee to hand the credentials over. Now Jason has a way to log into the system he shouldn't have access to. This is a social engineering attack. It's not technical hacking like most people think of. It's generally just being convincing enough and getting employees to hand over info or access they shouldn't be giving out. All right, with all of that and with all those jobs, we have 6 years and 6 months at Blizzard full time for Jason. And if we include his time as a QA intern in 2004, we basically have his 7 years of experience at Blizzard accounted for. Judging by everything he has written here, it seems as though he's never held an actual game developer position and he's never done any game development directly. All of his roles at Blizzard were either QA, website security, or social engineering, basically his hacking. It doesn't seem like he's ever touched C++, which is the industry standard language to use when doing game development. But before I finish my thoughts on this, let's check out one more job after Blizzard. After Blizzard, Jason worked at Amazon Games for 8 months as an automation engineer. Again, he wasn't a game developer here. He also didn't include much information under his bullet points. He did documentation of vulnerabilities and did some automation work with Python. This is the first officially recorded line that actually shows he did some programming. Python is what we call a high-level language, meaning the language is designed to be easy for humans to read and understand as well as to write. Python is a wonderful language, and I'm not throwing any shade at it, but Python is not a language used to create games. Technically, yes, you can code games in Python. Big drawback is it's an incredibly slow language. This is why the industry standard language for game development is C++, a low-level language that allows for incredible performance. The trade-off is it's a significantly more difficult language to work with. The reason I went through his job history so far and his programming language list is because Jason often claims he's a 20-year veteran of the game dev industry and he was a game developer at Blizzard for 7 years. And he uses these claims to make himself seem like an authority and expert on game development and game-related topics, namely stock-killing games. But from the looks of it, and in my opinion, it doesn't seem to me he's ever worked as an actual game developer within the industry, and it doesn't seem like he's ever done much program work.
Fuck. Where I feel like there was a YouTube video like 3 years ago of me watching this guy's fucking clips. I'm like, something about this guy. I don't know. Where is it? Hell yeah. I vibed this guy out. I vibed him out so hard. It's also funny as fuck to think that this guy's whole life fell apart because he couldn't just admit that he fucked up in a WoW, not a raid, but in some dungeon or whatever.
In the industry either. I'm not throwing shade at any of the jobs listed here so far. I'm just trying to be absolutely clear that none of this, in my opinion, as someone that has worked on game engines and done game development, none of this counts as game development experience, with a lot of his roles having absolutely nothing to do with game development itself at all. To help make this clear, here's another example to help everyone understand.
But like, think about it. This guy has faked like his entire life. Like he faked it until he made it all the way up to like a massive streamer, right? Didn't this guy, am I making this up? Or wasn't this guy like a 20,000 subscriber person, like 10,000 concurrent viewers? So like he's lied about his whole work history. He's probably not really even that much of a programmer. But then he's also got the narcissism thing because he was confident enough to show off his code publicly. Why? I bet that's why. This might be me being retarded. Maybe people do work in a lot of proprietary game development languages, but I wonder if to some extent that's why he prefers to work inside of the proprietary game engine things, because it's harder to criticize his code externally because you can always hide behind some, oh, well, you know, this guy doesn't actually know how this particular, he doesn't know how this language works. Like in this language, you can't do that. In this language, you can't make it like that. There's a reason why in this language, right? So he saves himself potentially from a lot of external criticism if he was working in a more widely adopted language or platform. Maybe. But I maybe I'm reaching there.
And it's like someone working at a hospital and doing payroll work, but because they're at a hospital, they claim to be a qualified doctor. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, and he lied about apparently, well, or he's a super genius about figuring out like every puzzle in every game that he played.
Everyone understand. It's like someone working at a hospital and doing payroll work, but because they're at a hospital, they claim to be a qualified doctor. It doesn't make any sense. Jason is making a giant leap with his "I'm a game developer for 7 years" at Blizzard claims. Anyways, let's go back to his LinkedIn and see what's next. Here we have that he was a cybersecurity specialist at Eagle Research Group. Based on Jason's stories, this should be when and where he was technically working for the government. There isn't a whole lot of information here, and with most of the bullet points being extremely generic, since he claims this was government-related work, I think it's perfectly reasonable to assume he has NDAs or he might not be able to give any specifics related to his work here.
And then when I did that, I went to the United States Department of Energy and I hacked power plants for the federal government.
Jason makes a lot of claims being a hacker and has told a lot of stories, but I could never find anything to back up his hacking claims. So far, the only thing I found was he did do some social engineering attacks at Blizzard. Now, some of you might know about his DEF CON stories and his Mr. Robot claims. I'll probably cover those in a separate video. The reason is
Wait, what are the Mr. Robot claims?
all of his DEF CON
Have we
events were
heard
done
that?
in teams of 10 people, never solo. And for his other hacking claims, there's only stories to go off of. To keep this video from being too long and off topic, I'll save his hacking claims for its own thing. Okay, his next set of experience is at his own company, also named Pyro Software. But before we touch on that, let's talk about his more recent job experience at Off-Brand Games first, since that's a smaller topic to cover. Off-Brand Games is a game publishing company founded by Ludwig and Jason. I'm not entirely sure if Jason is a co-founder or not. Jason claims he isn't, but most posts and Ludwig's posts talking about the company seem to imply he is. Whether or not he's a co-founder isn't too important. Jason's role at the
Wait.
All right, this is going to be a hot take.
He did nothing wrong in that WoW drama, making his downfall so fucking funny. I mean, he probably did a little wrong, but it wasn't like a huge deal. Like he could have just said like, "Oh fuck, I probably shouldn't have ran here," and I think nobody would have cared. But it's because he fought so fucking hard on it. I think he fought so hard on that point, it just blew up everything.
A lot about damaging its reputation, having to combat that online. That's got to be tough. Hey, wait a second. Now, I've already covered Pirate Software's misinformation about Mr. Robot extensively. I don't want to rant about it for too long.
Wait, what?
I will say I've argued this in the comments of my own video. I said it was probably not lost personal phone number based on the evidence, which there's a lot of. But I think the fact that it's a vanity number that he used because it spelled out something that you could then use as a puzzle, and then it using the same voicemail for that.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch this on.
company is director of strategy. From Jason's comments on the matter, he basically helps indie game developers negotiate contracts. Again, no direct game development work here. Also, fun fact, the very first game Off-Brand Games was co-publishing was Rivals of Ether 2. A game by the developer's own words was built this time around as a more live service game. Really makes you think why you might not want to stop killing games to succeed. Also, don't throw any hate at Rivals of Ether 2. They actually do have an end-of-life plan to keep the game playable and alive for the community after it ends. The same goes for the rest of the off-brand published games. Don't throw them any hate. Okay, we're gonna take just one more detour before we get to the Pyro Software company. Let's check out Jason's GitHub and see if there's any code for us to review there. For those of you that don't know what GitHub is,
Wait.
All right, so the reason I don't like Mr. Robot. This right here is my write-up for the DEF CON 22 badge challenge. Went viral as hell inside of the hacking community. And it was because I listed out everything that we did as a team and showed the world the brilliance of Lost, who is the creator of these challenges. And the
Where is this write-up? I'm just curious.
first thing you can see here is a number letter cipher. So 1 would be A, 2 would be B, so on and so forth. And you can see at the end of this, these last pieces of 1057, 1057, Lost's name is 1057. He goes by Lost, and 1057 is his handle. That is his signature at the end of this. And now let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string, but what did they leave off the end? His signature. This is the same as taking an artist and removing their signature from their piece of art. They made it public to millions of Mr. Robot fans. And those people went and found all of the breadcrumbs that led after this, which led to Lost's personal phone number. He got tens of thousands of calls from fans of Mr. Robot thinking Mr. Robot was running an ARG. And I stopped watching the show as a result. And they never took it down. Absolute dog shit.
Wait, is that true?
As an OPSEC specialist, how accurate is Mr. Robot? I don't like Mr. Robot. All right, so...
There's another video on this. This was 3 years ago. Is the story the same? Hold on.
As an OPSEC specialist, how accurate is Mr. Robot? I don't like Mr. Robot. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't like Mr. Robot. I don't like Mr. Robot because...
Here's the reaction to you finding him 3 years ago. Oh no, I'm gonna say I love him. 3 years ago.
I watched this clip. This is really funny. Destiny found me. And he's like, who is this guy? What is he talking about? And he like plays a clip of me, and he doesn't pay attention to it. And then he goes back and he goes, what? And he plays the clip of me again, but at like 500% speed. So I'm just like, and then afterwards he's like, who is this guy? And he says, like, he doesn't even look like he's paying attention to it at all. He's like, who is this guy? And he pulls up this chart and it shows my viewership. And he goes, oh, he hacked the algorithm. And then he just moved on. He just, it's like at the beginning of one of his, it looks like it was cut in for like no reason. I was like, why is this here? Why is that here? It doesn't make any sense. He just put it at the beginning of his video and threw it. I was like, all right, dude. Because I was like, oh. So
I knew it. I just knew. He did also. Because out of nowhere, this guy started exploding on like shorts and shit. I had no idea why I was seeing him everywhere. But
they took some information that they should not have taken from a write-up that I did on some puzzles that I solved at DEF CON, and then they put them into an episode of the show. And I found out about it. And the only source for that knowledge was my write-up. Don't do that. You're bad, Mr. Robot. You'll always be bad. Always. Yeah. Do you want to know what the solution for that was? Do you want to know what one of the solutions for that was? It was the Puzzle Master's personal cell phone number, to which he got thousands of calls. Maybe don't put things in your episode if you don't know what it is. Maybe don't do that. Idiots.
I'm so confused. Is this his website? Is he the one writing this here? Authors: Brett Borehouse, and Jason Thorhall. Went to DEF CON, we put together a puzzle by 1057. Here's the entire adventure as we experienced it with all the puzzles, their solutions, and the steps to solve them. Taken from page 4 of the DEF CON pamphlet. Okay, letters. Rot 13. Is that some kind of hash, or I don't know what this is, or whatever. The parent pages will help you find your calling, but don't be duped. Cut down the woods, they be Erdos. It's the Caesar cipher. Oh, it's just moving each letter over 13 spaces. People keep saying the puzzle creator was happy they used his puzzle. Like, do you have evidence or proof of that? Everybody keeps saying that, but is there any evidence of that? Oh, Rodis rotation. Oh shit, I think we learned this in some fucking, like, intro to encryption video or something. Just got another call on the Mr. Robot number from the Season 2 puzzle. Guess people are going back through old episodes. Who is Mr. Robot? This is not him saying that he's happy about them using the thing. Is there evidence of him saying he's happy about them using the thing? Okay. I'm going to assume that evidence doesn't exist because everybody keeps saying it and nobody's posted a link to it. This is why I need to be using fucking AI. God damn it. Oh, wait, hold on. Somebody has it. One day I will figure out how to query these LLMs.
Themselves in contempt for that one dumb tweet, especially since Lost, the person, actually affected, did.
Oh, thank you. Here it is. Good job. Who caught the DEF CON 22 badge challenge reference in tonight's episode? Thank you at The Dark Tangent and 1057. I'm flattered and I really enjoy the show. It's okay, guys. No need to attack at Core Adana. He's doing a great job. Oh, okay. Okay, so it doesn't seem like this idea of him being super ass-pained about this is not... doesn't seem to be true at all. He's just... Is he lying?
Reason I don't like Mr. Robot. This right here is my write-up for the DEF CON 22 badge challenge. Went viral as hell inside of the hacking community. And it was because I listed out everything that we did as a team and showed the world the brilliance of Lost, who is the creator of these challenges. And the first thing you can see here is a number letter cipher. So 1 would be A, 2 would be B, so on and so forth. And you can see at the end of this, these last pieces of 1057, Lost's name is 1057. He goes by Lost, and 1057 is his handle. That is his signature at the end of this. And now let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string, but
So when he says this is the only place in the world that this was listed, that's not true, right? Anybody that went to DEF CON would have gotten one of these packets. So maybe it was the only place online that it was listed, but anybody that would have gotten one of these packets, right?
Let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string. But what did they leave off the end? His signature. This is the same as taking an artist and removing their signature.
Yeah, but they didn't put it on the internet. That's what he means. I imagine there are probably people associated with this show that went, right? Like, the show is incredibly technical or technically accurate when it comes to computer shit. So it wouldn't surprise me if people that are associated with the show either have friends that went or went themselves.
Posted this right here. That's that same string. But what did they leave off the end? His signature. This is the same as taking an artist and removing their signature from their piece of art. They made it public to millions of Mr. Robot fans. And those people went and found all of the breadcrumbs that led after this, which led to Lost's personal phone number. He got tens of thousands of calls from fans of Mr. Robot thinking Mr. Robot was running an ARG. And I stopped watching the show as a result. And they never took it down. Absolute dog shit.
Okay.
6 years later is the only way they could have gotten it when other write-ups exist and the pamphlet is just free information to find. Like, I would not even...
Oh, and that's not even true because apparently that pamphlet is even online, so...
6 years later is the only way they could have gotten it when other write-ups exist and... The pamphlet is just free information to find. Like, I would not even call it probable, and calling it the only thing in the world is just a lie. And I just don't understand how he can think it is the only thing in the world when the pamphlet, he got it from a pamphlet, and the pamphlet is accessible online, and he didn't win the badge, and other teams competed this place. Sorry, 8 years. In 8 years, this has been 206 notes, so...
Okay. This, okay, well...
It's basically the site where developers store their code bases and development teams can work together on a code base. In Jason's case, his code bases would be tied to his games. Okay, so here's Jason's GitHub account, and he has zero.
The Bauhaus blog post thing does also credit Pirate Software. It's just not his blog. Well, sure. Or I don't know how relevant that is for anything. I don't even think that, my guess is that puzzle probably wasn't even that hard to solve. Firstly, doing a 0 to 25 or a 1 to 26 thing for, you know, the letters of the alphabet, I imagine there's probably an online thing where you can just like put in a cipher and it will test for simple hashes, would be my guess. Is ROT 13 special, or is there a whole bunch of like auto test for like ROT 1 to 100 and then do a dictionary match to see if you could like start pulling words or something? My guess would be there's literally ROT 13 is just one part of the puzzle. Oh, sure. I'm sure HackerCon is a bunch of fucking crazy. I think Cake used to tell me about like crazy puzzles and shit they would have in it. I just don't know why. I don't understand why he would freak the fuck out over this. Other than, I guess he just lies about fucking everything. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. ROT 13 is the default one you try first. Okay.
Public projects on his account and zero activity for the year of 2025. Okay, the no public repos doesn't exactly prove anything, and you don't need to have public repos, but most active developers do have something at least. Also, let me point out, GitHub does have an option of having private repos, which are code bases not viewable by users not part of the team. But GitHub also has the option to show activity on private repos on your profile without leaking any private repo data. Again, this doesn't prove anything, but it's incredibly odd to see a self-proclaimed developer and hacker have zero public code on his GitHub and zero activity on his account. Let's try 2024, and there's nothing. Okay, 2023, oh, I see some activity, and it's bug reports. He has made 4 bug reports and some feature requests, 0 coding to review for 2023. Okay, Let's try 2022. All right, I see 2 green dots, and again, it's 2.
The lack of GitHub contributions is a dumb point. I mean, if you are supposedly this master hacker public dude and you don't actually, I feel like maybe if you work for somebody, maybe. The lack of GitHub contributions is a dumb point. My GitHub is empty, but that's because I write code that makes money. Oh, yeah. Like if he had an actual job, then that would make sense. But I feel like it doesn't matter now because he's kind of like made it, I guess, as a streamer. Well, for now he has. But I would be really scared of having like a 5 to 10 year lapse in my resume with nothing publicly that I could point to at all.
2 bug reports, no code to check over. All right, 2021, I'm feeling lucky, and there's nothing. Okay, 2020, he's applying to be a part of the live coders list. All right, last year to check, 2019, and his only activity is he joined January 13, 2019. Man, That was disappointing. Over 7 years of having a GitHub account, he seems to have done 0 public coding with a grand total of 6 bug reports. Again, this doesn't prove anything too much, but most professional developers and hackers generally have something on their accounts, even if it's just super minor stuff like their settings for their favorite text editor or application. Jason could have a separate personal account where he does all his work, but the entire thing is just incredibly strange and unusual. Just about every tech YouTuber and streamer has a GitHub account with some random project scattered around. Anyways, finally with all those positions and GitHub stuff out of the way, let's finally get to Pirate Software, the company, and Jason's actual game development start. Let's take a look at his game dev skills, his game dev execution, with all...
This is 7 months ago. What, had all this stuff about him already leaked at 7 months ago? This might not be.
And Pirate Software.
I remember these
That's
people.
Why she, okay.
Why do you know that? I feel like an asshole right now. Do you know the Pirate Software guy? Do you watch any of his stuff?
No, never heard the name before.
I just get the worst vibes from that guy. I don't know why.
Is it the hair?
No. It's like he just comes across as like an absolute. Man, I just get bad vibes. The vibes are not immaculate.
The vibes are not immaculate.
The vibes are not immaculate.
He's not taking
You're a
drugs with
hater.
Captain. Let's see.
I am hating. I believe it right now. I think I am hating. I don't know why. I just get really bad vibes from that dude.
Okay, what's a Twitch clip of him?
I don't know if you can get it in a Twitch clip.
His name is Pirate what?
Pirate Software.
Wait, I'm making noise. Oh, it's Twitch, I'll Fuck.
It feels like he came out of nowhere. Although I think he's got a long history of content creation. It feels like he came out of nowhere, and he just started giving a bunch of like the most consumer, like or the most like Reddit tier popular takes on everything, and then like everybody just like super. I just.
So this is a no fast travel memes adventure. Okay, 1 minute clip.
It felt like it does. Like, hey guys, we're gonna be going from home base in Halcyon, and we're gonna be going down here so we
I knew it.
All his bragging, I'm sure this is going to be an incredible story with no issues at all. All right, so his first game his studio published was a game called Champions of Breakfast. This was a game roughly built in 8 months in the Game Maker engine. This was the first game that Jason claimed had the unpardonable DRM, where basically the game's Steam achievements acted as a save file. I'll touch on all these points again in just a bit, keep them in mind, while I move to his next and only other game, Heartbound. So Heartbound is the big game Pirate Software is known for, and it has a crazy development history. So according to the wiki, Heartbound's first build was October 7th, 2015. Again, this game was also made in Game Maker. It's a
Wasn't he already in drama then? No! Hopefully not. I don't know.
2D game that's mostly story-driven with extreme similarities to Undertale, and is supposed to have 5 acts or chapters in total. A Kickstarter for the game was launched on February 24th, 2017, roughly a year and a half after work originally started on it.
Damn.
The original goal was to have the game finished and released by December 2017, but shortly after the launch, it was claimed the game was to be fully complete and released in early to mid-2018. A few months later, the goal was once again changed, and now was targeting early access on Steam in December 2018. The game did land on Steam in December of 2018. In early access, this release contained a Chapter 1 that was complete, with a basically near fully done Chapter 2. Gee, I hope this doesn't become a trend with delays, failed promises, and shifts in goals. Surely Jason will complete this game in a few more years, right? At the very start of January 2019, they released a patch where in the patch notes it said Animus, the name of Chapter 3, was being developed, and this is where everything started truly going to hell. Now, we have a few things we should note here. This is technically the 3rd year of development if we're going off the October 2015 first build date. If we compare this to Undertale completed development in 2 years, 7 months, with Toby Fox doing most of the development solo, with some help from Tammy Chang on art. Also, let's just take a quick look at the How Long to Beat site and see how much content Undertale has. Okay, the main story is 7 hours. With side content, it's roughly 11 hours. A completionist run is 20 and a half hours. Okay, pretty good and respectable times for an indie game built in 2 years, 7 months. Heartbound, as of 2025, is still in active development. So let's take a look at how much content time they have. All right, the main story is 2.5 hours. With side content, it's 3 hours, and a completionist run is 3.5 hours. The Pirate Software team has been working on this game for 10 years, currently more than 3 times as long as the Undertale team, and the Pirate Software team has 1 additional team member. Yeah, just think about that for a moment. Anyways, let's start diving through 2019 and Chapter 3 Animus development. For most of 2019, it seems like there was steady progress on Chapter 3 with various patches over the year, so far saying additional content was added. On October 2019, Jason tweeted that roughly 86% of Chapter 3 has now been completed. Then 2 years later, Jason tweets that Chapter 3 is now 92% done. So over 2 years, he made 8% progress on 1 chapter. 20 years of game dev industry experience, people, and 7 years working at Blizzard. Okay, let's rewind and go back to 2020.
Okay, wait, I don't understand. What the fuck does this guy do on his stream all day? Because I thought he's always like working on his thing. Like, isn't he always programming and all that shit? What is he actually doing?
The Twitch statistics and see what was happening.
Oh, he's playing games. Oh, okay. I thought it was like a programmer stream or something. Okay, maybe not then.
Okay, the start of 2020 up till March seems like a normal stream schedule. Seems like he caught a cold on March 10th. Then after 9 days, he goes to urgent care and is diagnosed with pneumonia and gets a COVID test. Then we move to March 21st and COVID test results come back and it's negative. No COVID, just pneumonia. Wait, never mind. March 24th, Jason goes back to urgent care. Pneumonia was incorrectly diagnosed and he actually has severe bronchitis. All right, March 30th, he's still sick, but once again confirms negative for COVID. This is really important. All right, a few days later, April 10th, and his cold status is defeated and we're good to go. I know I'm being semi-joking in this section, but generally, this is really important. All right.
Sick around 30 days. God damn. Pneumonia was incorrectly diagnosed. I have severe bronchitis. Pneumonia and bronchitis are both like headaches. It's like a symptom thing, right? Those aren't necessarily diseases. I should definitely know this. Hold on. Okay, pneumonia is just inflammatory condition of the lung, and bronchitis is probably just inflammation of the bronchi. Inflammation of the bronchi in the lungs that causes coughing. Do you think that's why I'm coughing so much? Do I have bronchitis? It's also known as a chest cold. Wait, why is it called bronchitis? Why isn't it called pneumonitis? Or why is it called pneumonia and not bronchia? What's going on there?
And he actually has severe bronchitis. All right, March 30th, he's still sick, but once again confirms negative for COVID. This is really important. All right, a few days later.
Okay, this is really important.
April 10th, and his cold status is defeated, and we're good to go. I know I'm being semi-joking in this section, but I generally don't wish Jason any health issues. All right, so then we move on to April 11th, 2020, and work on Heartbound has restarted. Work is continuing over the next few days. According to
Holy shit! What if he was patient 0? No, I'm just kidding.
tweets, most of April was good, so was most of May 2020. We're still working on Heartbound at this point. Again, nearly all of the May project is on Heartbound. Then we skip all the way over to July 2020, and work on Heartbound is still progressing. Seemed like there's some trouble during September, October, and November, with December being fine, and so is January of 2021 being fine. Then we hit February 2021, and then he tweets out he has had COVID for 9 months since the start of February of 2020. Wait, what? Jason was only sick in March according to his own tweets at that time period. And there's work from February from earlier, and there's proof he worked during April, May, June, July, and August at the very least, judging by his Twitch stats and his Steam announcements and patches for the game. It seems the only major slowdown of streams and work was 3 months of September, October, and November, where he lost 9 months of time and had to stop development.
By any chance, do you have acid reflux? I feel like I've gotten acid reflux like 2 or 3 times in my life, but it's usually very short lasting. I don't know what causes it or what caused it.
Based on his tweets, I have no idea. I mean, it's not like he's going to change his story after this, right? Oh wait, there's this old tweet from November 2020 where Jason says he was recovering for nearly 8 months and couldn't daily stream or work. Let's look at the Twitch stats graph again. And his tweets. He couldn't work during this period, but everything he posts during this time says he was working on Heartbound, and his Twitch stats confirm it. So does Steam. I mean, Jason wouldn't lie and change his story and opinions randomly, right? Especially not his loyal viewers and Heartbound fans. Let's skim the graphs and see what else we can see. Okay, 2021 minus the months of March, April, May, and June.
Lucky I get that shit constantly all the time. I think you have to be careful. I feel like I only know this from like fucking late night TV commercials. That if you have acid reflux, commonly you can get. Is it just called acid reflux disease or like gastrointestinal refluxology? Fucking. But what am I thinking of? Isn't it like if you have because if you have acid coming up all the time, it can fuck your shit up. It like erodes your esophagus. Is it GERD? GRED? What is this? Wait.
Real, right? Okay. Real? Monsieur? Someone else?
This is AI or some dumb shit. What?
June, his streaming is extremely good and consistent, with tons of stream days going past 10 hours and some days hitting 16 hours. 2020, about the same for March, April, May, and June, and September, with the rest of the months being slightly less consistent, but still more consistent than not. Then we get to 2023, and this is incredibly.
It's not? Wait, hold on. Okay. 4 fingers, or 5, depending on how you do it. We got a confirmation. Is it a real finger? Okay, hold on. Does the finger move at all? Hold on.
Real, right? Okay.
Okay, I don't know if
Real? Monsieur?
this finger looks real.
Someone else?
It's,
Someone else? Real? Monsieur?
oh. Okay, this is a trick that only works on from one angle, from the camera, right? So these people all must be in on the trick to make this look good for the video. So when he does this here, you can see his pinky is behind this. So all 5 fingers are obviously still attached to his hand. But it looks like he has 4 fingers right now.
Someone else?
And then, I'm guessing he extends his pinky here. And then he, oh yeah, and you can see it moving back behind you. Cute. Okay.
Really consistent with the stream averages being 6 to 8 hours per day. Let's start diving back into Jason's tweets. So on June 2023, he catches COVID again. Okay, that seems to match up with his Twitch stats graph. Here there's a clear week gone. Let's see what Jason says in July.
That was a hell of a thing. That's the second time I've gotten COVID. The first time took 9 months to recover. This one took probably about, I think it was in total about 20 days. So
Wow.
There's no point in time in 2020, 2021, 2022, or 2023 where he lost 9 months consecutively or stopped development for that period of time. He also in the clip claimed he got COVID twice in total. So that doesn't explain why there's 4 sections of gaps on development, since all these gaps are months apart and he only had COVID twice. Let's skip ahead to June 2024 and see what he says about these 4 years of development.
how long have you been working on this game? Was the coding a solo job? Yeah. Nobody else has touched the code base for Heartbound ever except for me. It's just me. I've been working on it for about 7 years, but I lost 2.5 years to COVID.
Okay, I
2.5 years. It gets longer every time.
hope at this point you realize his excuses for not working on Heartbound and his tweets are filled with complete BS. Once again, he stopped development in 2020, 3 months between September to October, where he had his first COVID period of inactivity. His second COVID was in June 2023. No matter how you try to arrange this and make sense of it, the numbers don't work out, especially since we can see his 2023.
Holy shit. Yeah, this is Hassan's airport visit.
He basically had a perfect stream schedule. And if we look at 2021 and 2022, there were only 2 gaps where he seems to be affected, and they're months apart. Jason basically just decided to quit working on his game sometime during 2020 and has been making random excuses since then on why he hasn't made progress. Chapter 3 Animus, the reason we've been going through this chart started all the way back in January of 2019. If we look at the latest patch in 2025, work on Chapter 3 Animus is still going somehow. We have gone through 6 years of development so far, and Jason hasn't been able to complete 14% of Chapter 3. Seriously, what the hell? Remember, Undertale took 2 years, 7 months to finish the full entire game with 3 times as much content as what Heartbound is currently delivering in 2025, with 10 years of development time under its belt. To put this into even more perspective, let's look at Yandere Dev, a developer notorious for having no clue what he's doing programming-wise, and spends the majority of his day responding to emails and maybe spending a few minutes each day working on his game. He makes more progress and more consistently than Jason does. Seriously, I'm not joking. Here's the updated list for Yandere Dev starting in 2020. Yandere Dev has made more progress and more consistently at that in that year alone than Jason has in the last 5. We just might be living in a timeline where Yandere Dev finishes his game before Jason does. And yes, I might have gone slightly crazy trying to plot 6 years of Animus development with conflicting tweets and time gaps on the Twitch stats graph.
Wow. Now that's what I call a cool fucking story, bro. All right. Jesus. Do you not think the hate for this dude is wildly cringe? It's pretty obsessive. I mean, like, the hate is really obsessive, but he is probably, like, the perfect kind of person to hate, right? If you're narcissistic and you have no self-awareness and you can never literally admit you're wrong about anything, and then you'll continue to make blunders because you can't even, like, accurately perceive how much you're lying about everything. I mean, it's like the perfect, unfortunately, yeah. Oh! I'm almost better, okay? Look, 3-4 day sickness, how great is that? Does your, do you think your immune system, does it have like a maximum memory? Like, you know how you have like memory things to have immunity against like other diseases? Could you theoretically run out of space? Or you have like so many memory cells floating in your body that they're like, there are too many, and your body's like, we can't remember any more diseases? 12 gigabyte? It's funny you say that, because I'm pretty sure what do I want to say? There are only 4 nucleotides, right? Can you have like a counting system? Do people use like base 4 when they talk about space for RNA or DNA? Do you have a limit on your actual memory? I mean, you do, of course, right? As a fellow Vyvanse user, do you think it helps with sickness? I find it makes my illnesses pass quicker. Not once you're used to it, no. In the very beginning, though, I think that it helps you with literally everything. I was really paranoid about that when I first started taking it. Like, in the first, like, 2 weeks, if you start, like, Adderall or Vyvanse, it's literally like a superhuman, like, if you're sick, if you're tired, you take it, and you're like, oh, I'm at 100%, let's go. I see why people get, like, addicted to, like, meth or whatever. But I think once you're more used to it, like, if I'm sick or if I'm tired, like, I can take, like, my 60 milligrams of Vyvanse and go to sleep or whatever. Like, it's not gonna fuck with my sleep or anything anymore. Destiny made me the legend I am today. Wow, Shoe Nice. I hope you're doing okay with your alcoholism. Do you crash often after your Vyvanse? No, I don't ever have issues like that. I think I might just be really lucky, though, with the way that my body processes it or something. What happened to last night on Destiny? Is that channel just merged into the main now? I don't know. We're just trying something different. I have I'm merging everything into the main channel or whatever. Why is this? That's why the views are so much higher this month. It's like 16 million. Will probably be the highest views. But I'm not sure yet if it's worth it or not. We'll see. Don't stimulants cause vasoconstriction, which can help alleviate some symptoms of sickness? I have no idea. What do you think gives all the conspiracy theories their verisimilitude? What a word. What song was in the intro? It's called May Fortune Smile Upon You. It is an OC remix of a Metal Gear Solid 2 song, Fortune's Theme, by a guitar player called Vigilante. I think it was his name. It's just Vig now? Did he change it? Maybe it was always like that.
Verisimilitude.
Damn. I think for a lot of conspiracy theories, I think a lot of stuff just comes down to knowing facts. It's kind of funny, actually. JJ had a video a long time on this. I don't know if I agree or disagree 100% with this video, but I wonder what my take was at the time. I think thought processes and all, I think they're equally important, I would say, yeah. The thought process and all that is very important, but it's not a substitute for knowing things. You have to know precise things, and you can't always like derive these things from just knowing, having a good thought process. And I think sometimes you can have a good thought process and bullshit yourself into thinking you know more than you actually do. I think it's a very scary world to be in. Can you give an overview of the wet market theory for layman's? Basically, I need to look at a comprehensive theory, but I think the idea is that bats are good hosts for human coronaviruses to evolve in, but I don't think they transfer cleanly from bats to humans. But a coronavirus can transfer from a bat to a intermediate species. I think the current thought is a pangolin, or is it a raccoon dog? Serves in an intermediate species, and then it just needs to pick up. I should know the specific mutation, but I don't. And then from there, it can jump to a human. But the wet market theory is basically just that people got this transmitted to them from an animal at the wet market, and then from there, the virus began to spread. And that's literally what all of the data points to. Pisco just had a counterpoint in the Vanguard all bullied Hutch yesterday. Bullied him for what?
Figure it out.
I think coronaviruses are gut infections in bats. They need an intermediate host to infect human lung epithelial cells. Destiny. Let's see. Can I remember this? I think you're correct because I learned that word for gut infection. What's it called? Entrital? No, fuck. There's a name for this. Where are my internal medicine people? There's a name for a thing that is atritic. What am I thinking of? I don't remember the word. What is it? Entro, I think, is like an infection or stuff pertaining to the gut. I think coronaviruses can infect all of those cells, And they typically do. But there's a reason why they have a preference for lungs. And I'm trying to remember what that was. I think ACE2 is expressed in all, oh no, it's not in all cells. So ACE2 is found in the intestines, kidneys, testes, gallbladder, and heart. What is the thing that gives them their particular affinity for lungs? I'm trying to remember. Why does SARS-CoV-2 infect lungs? Respiratory is what I should. Epithelial cells. I misspelled that horribly. For the second channel, could August start uploading the research portions of streams so they're all together and easily accessible? I think that would actually work for that, but the viewer base on there is probably going to be really mad. Because I don't think they're used to that, but I don't know, maybe we can train them. Let's see. Naturally expressed ACE2 viral receptor. These cells lack organ and species-specific characteristics of human lung epithelial cells express cancer. Calu3, canalase. Fuck, where are my 3 molecular biology people at? There's a reason why they infect these cells in particular. I just don't remember why. It's not ACE2. Is the Tempress enzyme unique to these things? Let me check. Transmembrane serine protease 2. Prostate stuff. Well, fuck. I feel like I read this at one point. You should start learning biochemistry. I think it could really help you out with this topic. A foundation definitely would have, yeah, but we got there eventually. It's not ACE2 because your ACE2 stuff is found in a lot of different places in the body. There's a reason why SARS-CoV-2 did something special, why it infects the your respiratory system better. I just don't remember why. Tempress 2 is higher in the lungs. Is it? Link me, source me. Source me, babe. It's like it is present in the airway and the lungs, right? You can see it on this test here. I just don't know why. I don't know. Whatever. When I'm doing my write-ups, I'm sure it'll run into it. ChatGPT says TEPRS 2 protease is present in the lungs. Yeah, but I think it might be present in more than just the lungs. I don't know if it's like especially present in the lungs. What does apical mean? Sorry, we'll do this in a second. ACE2 expression is greatest in well-differentiated cells. Trans2, or maybe it is just the amount of ACE2 receptors in your airways, maybe? I don't know. Well. Expression of TEPRS2 in human cells is highest in the prostate, stomach, pancreas, lungs, small intestine, and salivary gland. Oh, well, there you go. That's it. If you watch the video South Bank of the Rubicon by Innuendo Studios, I know you do not like Lefty Tube, however, this video hit me hard.
Depending on who...
I have not watched that. Maybe we will. Okay, what's going on here? Wow, you link me a 2.5 hour video and say Hutch gets bullied. Is there like a specific timestamp in this, or... Just so Destiny knows, it's pronounced Tempers, not Temperus. A lab in my old department studied them for other stuff. Actually, I call it Temperus, but okay, Tempers. Fuck you. Next time you go on Peers, you should just use your time to read research papers. No one answers a goddamn question anyway. True.
Epstein. Exactly.
Right.
Oh, no.
The Biden administration had exactly the same thing the Trump administration has on Epstein. Exactly.
Right.
Because Epstein was convicted during the Biden administrations. Not one time did Hakeem Jeffrey call for any exposition of what the Biden Justice Department knew. Not once. So this guy's a top phony, okay? He's a political player. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about the people.
Hold on. Bill.
This is
Wait. Did he just have a... Hold on.
did during the Biden administrations. Not one time did Hakeem Jeffrey call for any exposition of what the Biden Justice Department knew. Not once. So this guy's a top phony. Okay, he's a political player. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't.
I wonder if he was looking it up, or if there's a delay or something. There are times when I'm having a debate with somebody, and somebody says something that's like so obviously wrong. I'm like, wait a second, didn't this happen like 2 days ago? I'm trying to remember. Somebody says something, I'm like, am I crazy? Wait a second, isn't this like obviously not true? Am I super wrong on this?
Hold on. Bill.
This is what
hold on.
he
I just
does.
got. Hold on, Bill. Hold on. You said Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Epstein committed suicide during the Trump administration.
And?
Yeah, so?
Look into the spike protein specific pathology of carried by macrophages into a lot of tissues that aren't directly sites for infection, i.e. heart and brain. The amount and type of spike protein encoded by the vax are safer. This is a good trump card when someone brings up vaccine injuries. Oh, maybe we'll look that up. Learning about the vaccine after knowing so much about the I don't know what you would say. The structure, the microbiology, the whatever of the virus will be interesting now, I guess. SARS-CoV-2 targets the gut because gut enterocytes express ACE2 at higher levels than lung epithelial cells, apparently. Yeah, I know that SARS-CoV-2 presents in the gut a lot. But all of our symptoms are generally respiratory, aren't they? I'm trying to remember. Do you get sick to your stomach and stuff when you have COVID? Maybe you did. No, you did, didn't you? For the first few infections, right? Like up to Delta? Didn't you get like sick and, or no? COVID-19 symptoms. No, you didn't. It was all like respiratory stuff and fever. I wonder why it didn't affect your gut as much. I need to know. I don't know enough about the immune system either. Like, I don't know how many of your symptoms are actually like caused by cytokines and whatever your immune response versus like your body being fucking destroyed. I think probably almost all the symptoms are caused by your immune system, right?
No.
I think. I don't know. You already thoroughly researched the vaccines. I don't know what else you would study. Well, now I have a better conceptual understanding of how the virus works. So I imagine I can revisit the vaccine stuff and have like a greater conceptual understanding of how the vaccines work, I guess. If that makes sense.
Number 2 is Mad Max Fury Road. Number 3 is The Eternal
Fucking love
Sunshine of
Mad
the
Max.
Spotless Mind. Okay.
I love those movies. Those are great movies.
Charlie Kaufman.
That's crazy you say that because 2 of those 3 I personally find to be overrated, but we don't have to get into that. I'm not trying to debate.
Damn, Gavin. Wow.
Wait.
Is it breaking bread? No, I will not break bread.
Is it Everything Everywhere All at Once? Is that one of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's
I'm
Mike is
honestly
doing
not
that?
a big fan of that movie. But again, I'm not trying to be rude to people that disagree with my opinion in film. I don't want to come off like an asshole.
Yeah, I saw that. Apparently Cherry and Justical are dating again, and then I think Kelly's issue is that Kelly was Kelly is true. Listen, for all of Kelly's faults, Kelly was like a fucking Justical stan for like 8 months, and apparently Kelly is ass pain because every time Cherry has a freak out, like typically the Cherry pattern is Cherry will have a freak out, and then she will apologize like 2 weeks later. Like this is a bit like technically this is the Cherry pattern, right? Like technically. Her tweets about me on the audio stuff on January 20th is like the 3rd time she's Me Too'd me. But usually she'll do it, and then like a month or 2 later, she'll be like, oh yeah, whatever, you know. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, it's a Cherry moment. But when she does this, I guess the last time she did it in the Justical server, she shit on Kelly and said crazy stuff about Kelly. So Kelly was like, bro, what the fuck? Why are you can't just shit on me like that. And because I guess Justical's trying to protect, I don't know if Justical is protecting more Cherry because she's his girlfriend or because he needs her to shit on me. Apparently Kelly got ejected from Justical's orbit and it keeps happening, so rip.
You're fine. It's fine.
Is the other
But
one
you're
Mad Max?
No, I love Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, okay, all right.
The other one would be Eternal Sunshine.
It's not dramatic.
Just Malcolm in the Middle.
Bryan Cranston. And I'm a fucking huge cinephile.
How can I have guns on display not answer my Second Amendment question? What do you think of the law changes in the 2A community recently with the NFA tax stamp reductions? I don't know. I don't have strong opinions about these. I don't really care. I'm generally in favor of more like coherent gun regulations. I think the ATF and all the restrictions regulations are fucking retarded right now. I think it would be better to have just a more, but like the Republicans won't touch the ATF at all because they like it being as gimped and weird as possible. So.
And so I had.
Do you have a
like
letterbox touch?
I don't know, but like when I found out you guys.
One.
Everybody tells me to do one, but I'm just too lazy to do it. But
Sure.
like I would have picked
have a fun diary.
Magnolia. I would have picked Magnolia instead of There Will Be Blood for Paul Thomas
We got to
Anderson,
do
but
an
I'm not gonna
entire
pick.
episode where we come back and talk about Magnolia.
I like Boogie Nights. Is Boogie Nights?
Boogie Nights
yeah.
is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I love Boogie
I fucking
Nights.
love Boogie Nights.
That's a great movie.
I can't get my fiance to like Paul Thomas Anderson movies. He's kind of like Radiohead, where there's like no in between. People either just fucking fully hate him or they think he's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. But for some reason, I got her to sit down and watch. I got her to sit down and watch Magnolia, and by the end of it, she was fucking crying. She was like, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." So like, I got her to
You
like.
just gotta skip this first part. It's just movie talk. Then why did they link the timestamp here?
Number 2 is
On board with a socialist message, like
Oh, there you
let's
go.
just say AOC is on the ballot for 2028, right? I know what kind of conversations I'm gonna have with my dad immediately. He doesn't care that she's a woman. He doesn't care that she's young. He's like, is she gonna try and take my guns away? Like that's the conversation that we're going to have because he'll die on that fucking hill and he just won't vote for somebody if he thinks that they're gonna come and take their guns away. So how do you respond to that as a lefty who's like a little bit familiar with the gun discourse.
Honestly, I don't know much about gun culture at all, but I think it's one issue that I think Democrats need to sort of back away from. I mean, like there's certain things I think they can stick to their guns, but so to speak. But obviously, like I was talking to somebody. We were at the event. Me and Josiah. I don't remember if you were there, Pisco. I don't think you were in Milwaukee.
No, yeah.
And we were talking to someone who was running for local office there, and we were talking for like a researcher who looks into like political dynamics. And what he found was that gun clubs were an enormously important like social hub for conservatives, and that Democrats have been basically entirely absent from this really important kind of cultural.
Well, the court transcript, can you clarify? I'm confused if you have a copy, but you can't release it until the court gives you permission. Yes, I have a copy of it. I've had a copy of it for 2 months or however long our hearing ago was. But we have to wait for the court to rule on things. They're working. Judges are busy, okay?
Movement. And so I don't really know, like, obviously it doesn't make sense to like force it, right? So if you get a bunch of like progressives that are going to a gun club because they feel like they have to be there, then I don't know if that's going to work. But I mean, yeah, I mean, my co-host, I feel like, are you guys more in tune with gun stuff?
Yeah, I just assumed because of your Call of Duty era. That's my bad. That was a broad stroke judgment.
So I've shot a shotgun before. I've shot some rifles before, and it was a lot of fun, man. So I went with one of my conservative friends from back home. We would always get into it in like high school and stuff and be arguing politics and shit. And so I just went on the gun range, and I was very impressed with the gun safety culture wherever I was. They were like,
have you talked about the contents of it already? A little bit, but like being able to read it would be nice. There's just a lot of like really good stuff in there. Okay.
These are the rules of gun safety. Never, the rules. They always tell you the rules or whatever. But I actually found it a very awesome, cool experience. That said, I kind of, for me, it's a little bit of a moot point because of this case law in Bruin. I mean, the Supreme Court now, stacked as it is going to look very disfavorably to any kind of hugely restrictive gun law. And that's why I think Desire, you're on board with me. Court reform is one of our major. Yeah, so we've been in favor of that for a while now. And it has to do, I think, both with fundamental fairness about what they.
Wow, our Nazi queen has released her book. I'm pretty sure there are 3 chapters in here about me. And the last chapter is Giga Chad, okay? I don't care what anybody else says.
When they fucked over Merrick Garland seat, but just in additional, like the Supreme Court needs more judges to do the caseload. I mean, like we have an insane lack of federal judges, not included the Supreme Court. But I don't think gun legislation is going anywhere at this court.
Do you think that whoever the candidate is, if they want to pack the court, that they should hide their power level and then do it after the fact?
No, I think they should embrace. I think the sneaky shit puts, and I guess is a good. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this. A good transition to Epstein stuff. I think sneakiness and being like looked at sneaky. I mean, like we have both with fundamental fairness about when they fucked over Merrick Garland seat. But just in additional, like the Supreme Court needs more judges to do the caseload. I mean, like we have an insane lack of federal judges, not included the Supreme Court. But I don't think gun legislation is going anywhere at this court.
Do you think that whoever the candidate is, if they want to pack the court, that they should hide their power level and then do it after the fact?
No, I think they should embrace. I think the sneaky shit puts, and I guess is a good. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this. A good transition to Epstein stuff. I think sneakiness and being like looked as deceptive puts people off no matter what. I think I'm embracing people just owning shit. One of the reasons that I think Mamdani did so well in New York is that he stood on business, and when they tried to push him and like pinhole him into these narratives, he just like was like, no, I'm not going to condemn what you tell me to condemn if I don't feel it, or yeah, I have this policy about the stores. I mean, yeah, I do want to freeze the rents. You don't have to agree with all of them, but I think today the currency of a lot of the political appeal is authenticity, and so when people are just like doing these answers that Kamala would give, like, oh, I have to look at it, or Joe Biden especially in his first run.
No, Kamala was the
people
worst
don't believe
at
it.
that. I think Kamala, out of every politician that we've ever had as a Democratic nominee, even Joe Biden in the very late stages, he finally fucking run, at least could give an off-the-cuff answer to a question. Like Joe Biden was always talented at being a talker until the very fucking end. Yeah, he was actually genuinely funny. If you go back and watch some of those videos, even from like the Obama era from 2012, shit like that, dude was absolutely killing it. He actually could handle just a totally off-the-cuff exchange without being on a script. Again,
yeah, Chad did. Okay, I don't care about this. Jesus, I don't know why I was like this. Has the timeline for the lawsuit become more clear, or is it still in limbo? Okay, I can't ever give specifics because it's just whenever rulings are made. Okay, the 3 points that I'm looking for are: there's like a rare scenario if the dream is real, that a recommendation to dismiss it comes from the preliminary injunction hearing. That's what we've been waiting on the ruling on for the past 2 months, month, however long since our hearing. Okay, I thought they were ruling this a few weeks ago, or last week, or this week, but maybe, who knows? It could be any day. We're just waiting on it. If the recommendation isn't made then we have to go through the rest of discovery. I don't even know if they want to go through discovery. Like, they're dodging all of our subpoenas and requests for every piece of information, and they're not providing us with anything. So I don't know if maybe they're just looking for a ton of favorable rulings here, like on the last set of motions before the court. And if they don't get them, maybe they'll just dismiss and go away. I don't know, because they're not responding to anything. So it's either waiting to go through. So it's either hopefully like the dream would be getting it dismissed as part of the preliminary injunction hearing. And then if that doesn't happen, then we have to wait for our motion for summary judgment. And then if we get really unlucky there, then it's a motion for summary judgment could be anyway. I mean, you can file it whenever, but like most likely would probably unfortunately be end of like November or December. And then if they survive motion for summary judgment, then it goes to trial in May, I guess. But it just comes down to like how much bullshit they can. Yeah. I have DMs from Lauren saying over and over she wasn't involved with the case at all. If you ever need them in the future. Hey, if you ever have information on that, go ahead and email me, you know? What is the downside for them to dodge subpoenas? The downside, well, I mean, they would have to dismiss those witnesses or be held in contempt, I guess, right? Try, oh. But the, yeah, I don't know. The case is like the case has been dead for a long time. They're just like nibbling around the edges for random shit. Like I think they know that Abby is lying. I think that's why she was freaking out publicly when she realized that they fucked up her redaction and then her Discord name was released. Because I think she never wanted her name to be public. There's a reason why she's dodging subpoenas and she doesn't want to be deposed because she's lying and they know she's lying. There's a reason why all of the witnesses somehow disappeared or deleted their accounts and they haven't produced a single screenshot from any of those. I don't know how you have 15 people message you. You don't have any evidence of any of that anywhere. There's yeah, like it's just they're just like praying that there's like some Hail Mary thing that comes through. Like they lied about the date on the transmission of the video from Mita Rose. They lied about that. They're trying to go with some weird Google Drive theory that like, well, if you send a Google Drive link once, it counts as reposting it forever. Like it's just all a bunch of like retarded shit. There's a vote on the floor for this. I don't care. I don't. Nothing is coming from these Epstein files. Literally nothing will come. If the House votes to release the files, then the only thing that will come from them is just there's like flight logs and people that he's talked to. But I don't think there's going to be anything of substance there. But you know. You think it's been dead since that fake Kiwi Farms account sent to you on January 18th? No, I think it's been dead for a couple months since they couldn't produce any evidence of any of the things they were saying at all, except for they scrounged up Abby to go and perjure herself for them. Will you work on a main channel video after the case or just release a manifest? I've got a few docs that I've like worked on that I'll probably go through, I guess, after. I don't know how much it matters though. I don't know if there'll be anywhere near as much coverage even after all the lying and everything. The problem is that like, it was kind of the thing I said before. It sounds like really pretentious, but when I was saying the thing about how like you should only mess with like other, I guess, celebrities or people with like reputations or something to lose, the problem is that if the person truly has nothing to lose, then they can just abuse the court system, try to fuck with you as much as possible because they don't care about, like she clearly doesn't care about her reputation at all because she's like exiting the space. So yeah. What are you gonna do? Wouldn't this hurt her law thing? I seriously doubt I don't think she would ever go into that profession.
Who you ask? Lex Friedman is a super genius, former professor at MIT, truth-telling podcast aficionado. Other people will say he's a lying industry plant grifter who pushes certain narratives based on whatever will make him famous under the guise of neutrality and working for a greater good. When I first encountered Lex Friedman, I saw him as more of I mean, the man taught at MIT and had an academic paper endorsed by me and Elon Musk. That's pretty remarkable stuff, but the more I look into this man, the more I realize that almost everything he does is deceptive, embellished, or just a flat-out lie. This guy has one of the most popular podcasts in the world, yet somehow also has zero charisma.
For people who are not familiar, what if someday or night a demon, by the way, he has a demon introduced this thought experiment. What if someday or night a demon were to steal after you into your loneliest loneliness?
He'll humiliate himself on podcasts despite claiming to be an alpha male. He has an extremely shady background that nobody can make sense of other than accusing him of being an intelligence asset, which might hold more weight than I originally thought. So let's try and get to the bottom of who is Lex Fridman. Lex was born in the Tajik Soviet Republic in 1983 to Russian Jewish parents. He spent his childhood in Moscow until his family moved to the USA following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Lex's father was a plasma physicist and began teaching at Drexel University. Lex and his brother would follow in their father's footsteps and also attend Drexel University, where Lex would obtain his bachelor's, master's, and a PhD. Now, Drexel University is a respected school, and anyone would be proud to graduate from there, especially with 3 separate degrees. Anyone except for Lex, apparently. What's interesting is that on all of Lex's personal media, he never mentions Drexel University, not even once. He never mentions he went there, he never talks about it on
This video is brain dead. FYI, most of the claims about his academic creds can be dismissed with a simple Google search. Wait, what do you mean? As in the video is wrong, or the video is just too long because you can just Google the stuff?
Podcast, nothing. He and his dad had a podcast years ago who, keep in mind, is a professor.
Yes, it's wrong. Okay. Can you show Lauren's involvement somehow? I mean, she literally made the GiveSend go, right? Or her name was used for it. She's admitted that publicly. The issue is that, like, because the other side is already engaged in so much bad behavior, like, for me, I'm just not, like, Discovery, I feel like is just a waste of time. And I think that all of the requests are going to do, or they have done so far, is just to waste my money and time, because they're not going to turn over any evidence of them, like, doing anything illegal. I already know they'll lie about it. And it's not like there's any way I can secretly, you know, like, hack their devices to figure shit out. They'll just like, oh, I don't have that. Oh, I don't ever. And since she was able to get so many other insane fucking women to conspire with her initially, I don't think there's any way that I can, I think I'll know. So the only thing I can ever do is just, like, catch them when they make a mistake and then dodge the, or not dodge the lawsuit, I guess, but win over the stupid shit they're claiming. Do you think going on the offense against the bad actors the day after all this lawsuit stuff would help? If your case gets thrown out, the opinion alone will be that you got off on a technicality. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. It depends on a lot of things.
At Drexel, but that podcast has been scrubbed clean from the internet. Even going through his catalog, you won't find podcast 100. What's weird is that you can find Drexel articles about Lex, and even this really old post where he confirms that he went there. On his Wikipedia, which he's not in control of, by the way, it says Drexel University. Lex claimed that this was an attack on him for no good reason, slandering him even. Now note this pattern of behavior for Lex. Every time he's confronted...
That seems like a flaw in the judicial system. How common is what you're experiencing? The issue is that it's just a highly exceptional... It's a highly exceptional case for a couple of reasons. One is because I am a celebrity and she's not. So there's, like, an advantage on both sides and there's a disadvantage on both sides on that. But a second part is that because of the particular federal cause of action she's suing me for, she gets to anonymize her stuff, which kind of, like, hamstrings me a little bit more than she does. So she's going to try to, like, wiggle away from this without having her name tied to it as much because of her filing as a Jane Doe. But, like, she has, like, a unique ability to, by doing this kind of, like, the bullshit Reddit arguments, she has the unique ability to fight me publicly with the full force of her, like, online gamer name, Pixie, while simultaneously hiding behind the cloak of, like, a Jane Doe status for the lawsuit. So it's just, like, it's like a combination of a lot of really, really stupid factors. There's also the fact that, like, it's possible too that I could have reduced my expenses a lot by going with a significantly cheaper litigation firm. I just wasn't sure, like, how much weird shit was going to be involved in this, and especially if somebody's going to come at my reputation to try to destroy my life, I want to be, like, as well prepared as possible, you know. Can you cite questions about Lauren's character, or is that not relevant? I don't know. If I don't, like, Lauren's not on trial for anything, so I mean, like, Lauren's character is, like, obviously fucked though. Wait, have we ever gone over the video? You know that, like, Lauren herself, like, literally admitted to spreading, like, revenge porn to people in the past, right? I don't remember if we ever went over that on stream. I thought that was kind of interesting. None of this technically helps my case, though. And attacking her character also doesn't really help me because, again, she's not, like, on trial for anything. I just think it's funny, her past, plus the Martin Shkreli stuff, plus the accusations she made against that one doctor are all like kind of funny.
Is she talking about a picture that is?
I can't transfer this on stream, but she was on some podcast talking to these people. I think this was like 2 years ago, and she was fighting with some girl, and I guess I don't know if they were fighting over a guy or what, but she decided to like send this girl's nudes or porn videos to a bunch of people or something.
Kind of gone viral a little bit of just dripping off Leah's face. And so when Leah had spread all this stuff about me, I was just like, why would you even take this woman's reputation? Like, why would you take anything this woman says seriously? There's literally pictures of her on the internet, which is like,
you're bouncing around the question. Hold on. You're bouncing around the question. Answer it. So these photos that are going around, you sent them to somebody?
Yep. Well, saying, like, why would you trust this person?
Yes, she did.
Oh,
it's a yes or no question.
You're dodging.
So
you said this. Answer the question.
I just answered it like 3 times.
You fucking judged it.
I sent it. Yes,
I mean, she's already answered this question.
Multiple times. I sent the photos. Yes, I sent it.
Yes. Betrayal, man. You don't do that. You do know that that's kind of. There's a line that.
Oh no! I spread around porn of somebody who was already on the internet. It doesn't matter.
Somebody
who lied about.
Someone who lied about me? Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, she's a horrible fucking person, but it is what it is.
On something shady or something that doesn't add up, he plays victim. Try looking up Drexel on his subreddit and nothing will come up. In fact, if you even mention Drexel on his subreddit or tweet at him about Drexel University, you'll almost certainly be banned or blocked. Even if you're just saying, hey, wait, didn't you go to Drexel? So what gives? Well, he does mention his association with MIT constantly, by the way. How he's a research scientist at MIT, how he taught at MIT. If you didn't do any research, you'd assume the only school Lex had affiliations with would be MIT. But what if I told you Lex has barely any connection to MIT? If you look through the MIT faculty lists, Lex is nowhere to be found. But if you go on YouTube, he has alleged lectures that took place at MIT. So did he really teach at MIT? Well, it turns out Lex taught a January community class at MIT. This class that Lex taught was a class that wasn't for marks. There was no requirement to be there, no grading, no anything. MIT and other universities will usually offer
Why did you initially reject her? I just didn't want to date anybody after, like, fucking right after breaking up with my ex-wife. I just didn't feel like it was, and I didn't feel like I wasn't ready for like a serious relationship or anything.
These classes for anybody to take if they have an interest in a subject. Now, teaching this and being a tenured professor are very, very different things, but it didn't stop Lex from putting MIT all over his social media. His LinkedIn, for example, says MIT and nothing about Drexel, which is weird because on a LinkedIn, you'd want all of your academic credentials on there. Even if you go to any of his papers, it cites his school as MIT. Again, when you're publishing an academic paper, you'd want all of your academic qualifications in there. So why is he so eager to cover up the fact that he went to Drexel and not MIT? Well, because Lex uses this to give himself authority when speaking.
Lex Friedman, MIT, also, which is something those people seem to sometimes care about, the followers and stuff like that. Like, did you just do that? And then they said, enough of that nonsense. Enough of that nonsense. They said to me, enough of that nonsense.
So what is his affiliation with MIT? Apparently what Lex did is what a lot of slimy academics do to boost their clout. Somebody from MIT commented on these dubious practices.
Did you see any clips of the Vanguard on Lib and Learn last night with some fun lefty versus liberal brain rot? Nope. Somebody linked me the video, but it was like 2.5 hours long. If there are clips from it, you can link me that, but...
Basically, what people will do is the bare minimum to get associated with the school. So for Lex, he gave a free lecture for no marks. He managed to get an MIT email as a result. People who aren't involved with MIT see that and think, wow, that's prestigious. Also, as somebody with a PhD, it's possible you could offer to do unpaid research for MIT, then you get library access, and most importantly, the MIT email.
As a research scientist at MIT, I've had, and especially just part of a large set of collaborations, I've had a lot of students come to me and talk to me about ideas.
In reality, the only thing I've been able to confirm regarding the relationship between Lex and MIT is that he did teach a non-credit after-hours community class. That was also out of semester. So no, this doesn't make you a professor or even an associate professor. It makes you a guy who spoke at MIT one time. So Lex could be doing free research for MIT and teaching free classes, but saying he researched and taught at MIT is technically true. In the same way the guy who cleans floors at the Tesla factory works for Tesla. It's like Brendan Schaub claiming he was in the NFL because he tried out for the Bills, not realizing that literally anyone can just show up to a tryout.
College football, NFL.
Yep.
You were on the training team, or not training
Buffalo
team,
Bills.
Buffalo
Yeah.
Bills.
Yeah, camp.
What the fuck happened?
Training camp?
Yeah.
I pulled a hamstring.
What my favorite part about this whole saga is that for all of his profile pictures, Lex uses this photo of him speaking at MIT.
Okay, I actually, you know what? I don't care about this that much. She loses the kid so she pays legal fees? Oh, no, it's unlikely I'll get legal fees back. Unless, maybe on summary judgment, they get really fucked. Destiny, he's listed as a team member on 2 different MIT lab websites. Well, this just says research staff. How hard is it? What does it mean if you're research staff? But there's no way they can just make shit up and all that and get away without anything. I mean, it's court. You're allowed to sue people for whatever you want, and unless you like fuck up really, 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 really hard, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Listening to the Juice Stock VOD, he's back together with Cherry, and his audience doesn't care at all. How many Reformer fans moved to his streams on what is apparently some BS moral stance? I mean, they try to make excuses for it or say that. They try, like, I mean, it's just like, it's unhinged shit. That, like, the statement that Cherry made that sounded like Jessica let a gun to her head, like, I'm 100% positive they worked on that together to try to, like, perfectly craft it. Where Cherry's like, oh, like, actually, it's really good that he committed me because I actually was suicidal, and Destiny was the one posting messages in DGG chat, and that's what made me feel even worse. And, yeah, I don't know. It all seems, yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of cringe. Why do so many regulars become anti-fans? I think if you spend enough time in a space, like, you will slowly change. It's like the thing about humor, where if you spend enough time in a space where people are making racist jokes, like, you probably will start to become racist. I just think that there were like a lot of weird things that happen in that server, and like over time, because of external pressure and then because of like the content that they covered in there. Because remember, like, Justical worked as kind of like a little containment board since I wasn't doing drama and stuff on stream anymore. Yeah. But then as my content starts to focus in a lot more on politics, and then all of the drama stuff kind of gets left in the background, the people just kind of like aggregate there, and then it's a certain type of people, and I don't know. Do you think you spawned the most anti-fans who are past fans? Probably not. I don't think so. I think that the largest spawn is probably just what happened recently, because of the combination of the Pixie stuff plus the huge change in content. Like, if you haven't been watching me for 10 years, if you've only been watching me for like a year or two or maybe 3, I think it's hard to understand. But like, my content changed. My content has changed significantly as of 2024 onwards. Like 2023 onwards, or like prior to 2024, like I just can't even explain.
A lie implies intent, okay? If I tell you I'm gonna be home by 5, yes, it does, you dumb bitch, okay? If I tell you I'm gonna be home by 5 p.m. today, and I run late from work and I get home at like 5:20, I didn't fucking lie to you. You ended up.
Like, when my content went from something like that to like,
well, you weren't listening.
To like this.
How many people?
In like a year, like, this is like there's a significant change in content. So like, I had a much wider interested fan base before because I did like such a huge variety of stuff. Yeah. How'd you rate that content? 9 out of 10. Okay. Why do you think that anti-fan / snark is picking up so much steam? Obviously, it's people with nothing else to do, but 10 hours online all day. But why do they choose this outlet, not like arts and crafts? Gossiping and stuff, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to be a hater, I think, right? You get to have this like sense of like obsession and moral superiority and everything else with a bunch of other people. And then also, because like anti-fanning or snarking or whatever the fuck else over online celebrities is, I think, a lot more fun than traditional celebrities. Because for traditional celebrities, you're really like living and dying by the paparazzi. Like, you're praying for like a crumb of leaked content from some other celebrity talking shit or some paparazzi catching somebody in a restaurant. Like, it's so hard to get access to these people. But for online people, right, you've got 8 hours a day of streams that you can watch and content that you can sift through and messages and allusions to other stuff. Like, imagine if Taylor Swift streamed for 8 hours. Like, even her mentioning like, oh yeah, yesterday I was at dinner with some friends would probably send like 1 million fans into sleuthing to figure out like, who did she have dinner with? Where was it at? Can we triangulate the positions? Where do they all live? Like, yeah, it's so much more access, I think. Can I just subpoena Lauren and ask her to oath if that was her KF account? Yeah, I already have. Okay. Are we done all this meme shit? Do I care about this? I don't care about this.
On the amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not agreed
Chair, I'm
to.
kind of shocked by that. I will ask for a roll call.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach. No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman. Yes. Mr. Norman, aye. Mr. Roy. Mrs. Houchin. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack.
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern.
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse. Yes. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Leisure Fernandez. Ms. Leisure Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair.
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report.
Apparently they're still trying to vote on this, I guess. I don't know.
What would be your advice? Given this back and forth, we're just coming off of Turning Point here in Tampa.
Benny Johnson is like forced harder than any other fucking celebrity. I'm not convinced that this guy has a real following or fan base anywhere. I think all of his shit is botted. I think he's forced super hard by other conservatives. Like if Benny Johnson were to do like a Benny Johnson meetup in like Dallas, I think like 7 people would show up.
This was the topic of conversation. What would be your advice in order to take the temperature down on this issue from within the administration?
Well, I do think that there needs to be more transparency on this. And I think that will happen. As it relates to the president, I know that this is probably not his number one thing he's focused on. He's focused on a lot of other important things. So I don't know that this was top of mind for him, but he hears all the noise and he hears all of the consternation out there. And I think he's going to want to set things right as well. So I believe that there will probably be more coming on this. And I believe anything that they are able to release that doesn't, damage any witnesses or anyone underage or anything like that, I believe they'll probably try to get out sooner rather than later because they hear it and they understand it. So hopefully we see that happen sooner than later. And I guess that would be my advice. But to everybody out there who's all worked up about it, there's no great plot to keep this information away that I'm aware of. I do just believe that maybe it's been slow rolled for reasons that hopefully we understand down the line. And I think we're probably going to get more transparency on it very soon.
We'll see. Bongo Balls is back.
That all at a conservative conference that played out just this Friday. Now we do have just into CNN. Sources say that Dan Bongino is back at work today. So we'll have to dig into what that means with our panel. Our panel is here along with CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes. Kristen, what are your sources telling you about how the president...
When are we getting this debate? Whenever the Sean Kelly guy releases it. I think he released my debate with Myron yesterday or today. It's so weird. I don't understand. Make sure you don't debate Destiny 3 feet apart. Dude tweaks so much, he kept hitting my leg every few minutes. This never happened. What? Why would you lie about this? Like, it's so gay. Like, this guy, like, I don't know if he was, like, fantasizing about this happening. But this conversation was excruciatingly stupid. What was it? What were the topics? It was, like, immigration and taxes. But he's, like, an actual robot. He's an actual NPC robot. This is the guy that I said when we were debating. He was trying to argue with me about taxes, but it's, like, very obvious that he's never seen a 1040 in his life or filled out or has any idea how taxes work. It was very, very, very fucking cringe. But...
is feeling about all of this and how he's dealing with, it's his own house and it's divided.
Yeah, that's right, Casey. And one thing to keep in mind here is that even though the president was upset with FBI Director Kash Patel and Dan Bongino over the weekend, I am told by a number of sources that they don't want this to be the end of Dan Bongino. Does anyone believe that Bongino is going to be in the administration in this role for a long period of time? Probably not, particularly given the fact that Bongino himself has said in various interviews that he actually doesn't like this job all that much. We know he had a lucrative career with his podcast before he joined the administration. And so the idea is that right now he is back at work. But what President Trump, I'm told, doesn't want, he doesn't want this to be the ending. He doesn't want it to look as though his team is fractured. He doesn't want his team to be fractured. And what he really wants out of all this is that all three of them, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Dan Bongino, kind of present somewhat, if they can, a united front on this issue. Now, it seems like that's easier said than done.
Wow, Graham with $100. Hey, Destiny, if you're working from zero, what do you think is the most effective way to develop discipline? Thanks for the years. Bro, my discipline's horrible. Ask, I feel like there's a million YouTube videos on this. I don't know why you would ask me for this. Isn't it like small, achievable goals first? Download an app? Get somebody to walk around and beat the shit out of you if you don't do what you need to do?
But one thing we do know is the vice president spent much of the weekend on the phone with all three of these leaders, having conversations about how exactly they could make it work, trying to be a peacemaker, trying to figure out how to...
Wait, why? Steve was in an open marriage where guys openly fucked his wife. His wife divorced him for one of those men who ended up dumping her. Now he thinks conservatives have fantasies about him. No, I just pointed that you played footsies with me because you were coked out. Are you okay? I don't understand how these people can act. It's crazy how these snakes can act so passive and demure. Demure? I think it's the right word I'm looking for, right? Yeah. When they're in front of you, then take to social media to talk so much shit because they're unhappy with how their performance was. It looks like your legs are tucked under your chair for most of it. Anyway, you can't. I don't even know if we could. Yeah, I don't even know if we could kick each other. It's just weird. But it was such a stupid. It was so stupid.
Deal with him. That's the point of our move in terms of like.
Oh, you can't hear us here, can you? He was so dumb. Oh God, I don't know. We'll see when the clips come out. Or when the debate is posted.
Get Dan back into the FBI on Monday, which it appears he was able to do. And I talked to a number of sources this morning who said they believe that Dan's mindset between Friday and Monday shifted significantly, that he kind of seemed like he was coming on board with this idea that he was not going to resign, because what he had done is he had threatened to resign. He had told people he was considering leaving his post over a blow-up that he had with the Attorney General. Now, it's been very clear, one thing is certain, President Trump is standing at this time by Attorney General Pam Bondi. He made that clear on social media, but he's also made that clear privately. He has said that he thinks she's a great Attorney General, that he supports her. So all of this is playing out in real time. And to be clear, the fact that Bongino showed up for work here, that doesn't mean anything in terms of his future as part of the administration. But what it does mean is that President Trump wanted him there. He wanted this not to be Dan Bongino angrily resigning over the Attorney General Pam Bondi and her handling of the Epstein files. And it appears that he got that at least thus.
Why wouldn't you say something in the middle of the debate was bothering you so much? Nothing. It wasn't in the middle of the debate. This never happened. No one is kicking each other under the table.
Far.
Yo, what's up, guys? We're inside of, obviously, the United States Capitol. There's no studios here, but we built one, damn it, and we are ready to rip. With a mega stream today featuring the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, James Comer, some of our absolute favorites, and of course, the legendary Tim Burchett. It's all going to be happening right here, and it's going to be a rip-roaring good time. Okay, let me show you guys our studio. Let's rock and roll. So you walk inside, we built ourselves a little green room here, nothing but style, and bam. We even got the light for the fire. Look at that. They didn't give us that. We lit our own fire. I don't think it's legal actually inside the Capitol.
Fire pit.
We'll be smoking cigars, I hear.
Is Tiny gonna be in this book? I'm pretty sure I'm in 3 chapters of that book. So if you want to read it, you gotta buy the physical copy. Good luck.
From some members of Congress, we're going to be asking questions directly from you, the audience. We'll be reading the chat, we'll be naming the handles, and we'll be asking the questions that the people want. Now is the time for transparency in our federal government. That's what we voted for, and quite frankly, we're in charge. So join us soon, live. It's an honor to be here. It's your boy Benny. Let's freaking go.
Over the last few days, a number of members of your caucus have been posting and engaging in some of the discourse about Jeffrey Epstein. Is this appropriate for your members to be doing so? Do you want to see any action on that front?
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last year.
True. True. Absolutely true. Absolutely. What a based, godly thing for you to say. Absolutely true. Whether you believe in Epstein theory or not, you don't have to push the Epstein conspiracy shit. Now, I know all the far left people and all you losers in my chat, and everybody likes to, but you don't have to have a conspiracy for you to hold them accountable for fanning the flames of the conspiracy. Even if, like, I don't think there was some huge Epstein conspiracy, but they are the ones who pumped it up for a long time. Now they can't deliver on it. Fuck them. True.
Extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. The American people deserve to know the truth.
True. True. On Ukraine, Texas floods, and more. Okay.
I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein.
Fucking loser. Fuck. I think somebody sent me like a fucking Instagram reel of this. So I'm not going to have it saved. There was a... It's just like a 1-minute video of like Biden versus Trump on the like State of the Union heckling. It's just so crazy. Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Whatever. We all saw it.
I'm going to talk about...
How do you guys have time? Holy shit, how do conservatives have time to listen to all these slot podcasts? You know what the answer is? The answer is all of them are saying the same thing. So you don't really have to watch all of them. You really only have to watch one of them, and you've known what everybody's talking about. Jesus.
About the Epstein files. I'm going to talk about the Epstein files, and I'm going to...
Who is this? Dinesh D'Souza, the guy who makes fake documentaries about everything. He's like the... What is he, Indian? The version of... the guy from... oh, God, hold on. What's his name? Jeffrey Epstein is what comes to mind. It's not. The guy who did Project Veritas. James O'Keefe. He's basically the equivalent of him. This is the guy who did the 1,000 Mules fucking documentary, among other conservative slop.
Going to...
Did he also do the Die Suddenly documentary, or was that somebody else?
Make the case that even though there are unanswered questions about Epstein, it is in fact time to move on. Part of being on a political team is maintaining a certain amount of maturity, recognizing you can't win them all, recognizing there are some things that are important to you that are less important to the guy that you've put in charge, who is trying to focus on things right in front of him. And so having a sense of perspective, having a sense of balance, having a sense of maturity, I think is more important even than getting to the bottom of what really happened with Jeffrey Epstein.